Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going for me, man. I don't know
It's
about you
going
guys, but
pretty
it's
well.
going. We are back again, as always, for like the 150 some odd time.
It's
We
up
are
in
back.
late 50s of the 100. Yeah, we are starting a cult that's great. I'm Jake. Mitch is here. Navi's clacking around.
Yeah, he's quick clacking. He's been back and forth between parts of the house. He was licking me. He was giving me big hugs
He's
and
making
kisses.
his rounds, so he's suckling the sweet oils from Grant's face.
He is. He like loves licking my face. It's like his favorite thing in this world.
I have a series of photos of him just going at your face.
And it's funny
like
because
plunging your ear with his lips.
I'm not quite a germaphobe, but I'm definitely more a germaphobe than not. Just preference. Like, I don't like touching things and stuff. But that doesn't bother me for some reason. I don't know. It makes him feel comfortable. Like he's cool with it. Like
it's a comfort thing from when he was a puppy.
Yeah, he used to just like lick me when he was a baby, and he'd like sit on my lap. He'd just like lick. I guess he was nervous, and it just went into adulthood for him. So like he's fine. But he's present. If he gets a little loud or something, he'll go in the other room. But we'll see how he does.
He's
now.
already hitting my laptop with his tail a bunch of times.
He just gets excited. He loves when people are here.
It's true.
That's like his favorite thing.
You guys know Navi.
But yeah, definitely wish him a happy birthday. It'll be his birthday on Wednesday.
He's the big 2.
Mm-hmm. The big Navi.
The big
02.
02.
But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about the events of the Columbine High School.
It's true. The Columbine High School Massacre.
How about that?
Call it.
Well, I don't even want to say anything because it'll predispose us to things that will come up later.
Well, there's a lot of shit.
So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and just leave it. Now, are we? We actually haven't discussed this yet. I'm kind of open to either or. Have we thought is this 2 parts, 1 part? What are we doing here?
I don't know because you saw me scrambling in there. I was like taking notes for like 3 hours just sitting on your couch. Before this, and I feel like I didn't get everything. So maybe
we'll see where
I don't know. We'll see how it goes because the notes go pretty. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll figure it out.
It may be 2 parts. It may not. We don't know. We'll see what happens. You guys are here for the ride with us. But I guess without further ado,
Columbine.
I do want to say we have a fan. We said this before. I want to say it's like Shania. That's not right though.
Shawnee.
If you're listening to this. Let me level with you real quick, okay? Let me level with you. Your name should be Shania. Just the way
You just want it to be like for Shania Twain.
Maybe it's like the weird dyslexicness that I don't have, but sometimes like suffer from. It should the way I read it is Shania, but either way, she definitely she won up to us. Believe it or not, she got a sticker with our logo on it for her car, so we thank you for that.
Yeah, she just made it herself. She's a true fan.
The cease and desist letter will be in the mail soon, so don't worry, you'll get that from us.
Thank you for everything you have.
But no, in all seriousness, that's really cool. We appreciate it.
It's amazing. She put it on her truck. I posted it on the Instagram story a while ago.
Yes, you did. I believe I was. Did
you see that, everybody?
But yes, I wanted to get that out there before we move on, and I forget to say that.
Yeah. So we'll see you in court. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll get our autographs for sure on the subpoenas. But anyways, why don't we start talking about Columbine?
Columbine. All right. So the Columbine High School Massacre was a school shooting and attempted bombing that took place on April 20th of 1999.
420.
Like that great Prince album that I don't really listen to. It was carried out by Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. The two managed to murder 12 of their classmates along with one teacher before turning their guns on themselves.
Yeah.
Right? So, Columbine...
About 13 people too late. But that's okay.
Very much so. They should have just taken to... in their basement, maybe, just alone.
In the terms of basketball, they should have taken it to the house.
Yeah.
And the house being their skulls and taking it being... fresh bullets.
It's true. But they did, took some people with them. Anyway, Columbine, as many simply refer to it, was not the first school shooting to ever take place, but the number of victims, the length of time that the active shooting lasted, as well as a few other factors surrounding the story made this massacre forever ingrained in American history.
Absolutely. And I would say that this was sort of the jumping off point for what was to come years later with the seeming rash of school shootings that we got over the course of a couple of years that were like big, heavy ones.
It sparked a lot of copycat people.
But this was definitely the one that brought it to media and national attention. I would even argue and say international attention as well.
Oh, very much so.
This was the one that really led to places, if they didn't do it, but at least considering getting like metal detectors at entrances, things like that.
Yeah.
This really kind of sculpted what high school would be for the rest of time.
Yeah.
To be honest.
For the most part, people not being able to leave school in the middle of the day and come back. Like for lunch, I used to be able to.
Yeah.
I never lived through that, but
no, me
sounds
neither.
like it would have been cool if this didn't happen.
But yeah, this was a huge event.
Yeah. So, like we mentioned for the Las Vegas shooting episode, like mass and school shootings alike are relatively kind of new ground for us. So, at least my portion of the notes here for this episode will be starting with the perpetrator's beginnings and go up to and through the event.
You know,
just like with our other true crime
I
stuff.
feel you. I'm going to take the time. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think this will be a 2-part episode because...
All right, well, as I go, do you want me to maybe stop just before the shooting? Because there is a good amount.
We'll see where the time has us. I think we could probably go through it, but I watched a lot of videos last night, and I watched this one documentary, and there's a lot of... It's not conspiracy theories in the sense of Vegas, but there's a lot of weird little details that don't make the cut, and there's a lot of questions that kind of went unanswered that I would just personally like to have more information on before I speak on them.
Okay, yeah. Well,
So
like we said,
we'll probably extend this.
We'll see where it goes up to. But, yeah, some of those little things that I think you might be thinking about, like the weird little details. I'm going to mention some of them.
No, absolutely. They'll come up.
All right. So, Eric David Harris. All right, he was born April 9th of 1981 in Wichita, Kansas, BTK country, if you will.
We should have known.
All right. So his father was a U.S. Air Force transport pilot, and his mother was a homemaker, and he had an older brother. All right. The family spent Eric's early years of childhood and schooling in Plattsburgh, New York, before moving to Littleton, Colorado, following Eric's father's retirement from military service in July of '93.
All right.
Eric then attended Ken Carriel. It's just the name Carey with an L. Carriel. Ken Carriel Middle School, where he first met Dylan Klebold.
All right.
Dylan Klebold. They're children. They have very short beginnings. But so Dylan Bennett Klebold. He was born September 11th of 1981. And do you realize what that means? It's that he was born and died on the 2 meme days.
Yeah, he really did.
September 11th and 420.
Yeah, this guy.
So that's pretty funny.
It was written on the fucking wall before it even happened, man.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah. So, born September 11th, 1981, in Lakewood, Colorado, into a Lutheran pacifist family that also observed some Jewish traditions in honor of Dylan's maternal grandfather.
All right.
He was an exceptional student and was briefly a part of the CHIPS program.
Like the TV show?
Chips?
Like
I've
chips?
never seen that. I would just always think of the snack food.
The cops? Chips?
I had no idea.
Come on.
Well, apparently it stands for Challenging High Intellectual Potential Students. That's what it stands for.
All right, so
way
it's
less
kinda
fun
like
than television.
Kind of like what for us it was like the National Junior Honor Society.
Yeah,
and
NJHS.
something like that, I'm imagining.
Yeah. He was a really good student, but that was elementary school, right? So once he got to middle school, he found the transition of schools to be difficult. And as I mentioned, this was where Dylan and Eric met. So they're together, all right? And as the two grew up, they remained friends, but had pretty differing, social standings. Eric Harris, he was pretty much the ringleader of this whole thing. He was the one putting all this into motion, what we're about to talk about.
He was the Osama.
Where am I? So Eric Harris, he was smart, he was popular, he was self-confident, he was strong, he was extremely well-liked by his peers. As a testament to how well-liked and popular he was, the very last interaction he had before committing the heinous acts of Columbine Massacre was a group of girls in a passing car trying to get his attention.
Aw,
So he
that's
was,
sweet.
he was at the top of his game. He even slept with a 23-year-old as a 17-year-old dude. He was well liked to a statutory degree. All right,
Okay.
one might say, but he was a jerk, which sort of makes sense, right? Like a big old conventionally attractive jerk seems to do well socially and with the ladies, right?
He fits the bill.
That's what incels say. Well, Dylan, on the other hand, he was as lame goth comes. Like, he was weak, shy, self-conscious, couldn't even think of interacting with girls, wore all black, he brooded constantly, often discussing the idea of suicide, but never making any actions towards it.
Okay.
He was just one of those dark boys.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So, he followed Eric around pretty much everywhere like a little sad, wounded dog. All right, he was just like his little puppy dog. He was always trying to impress him, and that sort of ties in with the media's perspective of the dynamic of the two.
Okay.
All right. So, Eric and Dylan, they met in high school and remained friends throughout their schooling since then. All right. So, well, the two began going on what they called missions as kids, which mainly consisted of the two of them like TPing houses and like ding dong ditching and lighting off fireworks and like general low-level vandalism. You remember those days.
General hooliganism.
Hooliganism. Eric even created a private website that was initially meant to discuss the video game Doom, fantastic game, and its sequels, but ended up being a platform where he would start blog posting.
All right.
He started a little blog. He began the website in 1996. Mostly, like I said, talking about the Doom, and it's, and he also started his blog at the same time, recounting his fun pranks with his buddy Dylan.
All right.
But by the next year, 1997, the blog posts had developed into expressions of his distaste for society.
Not good.
So he's doing a little diary on the internet there.
Yeah, not good.
So he began posting instructions on how to make homemade bombs and expressing wanting to murder people. He even gave the names of like specific people in his school that he wanted to kill.
Jesus.
And there wasn't much traffic on Eric's website, but the parents of one Brooks Brown happened to come across a quote from Eric on the website, and the post read, "All I want to do is kill and injure as many of you as I can, especially a few people, like Brooks Brown."
Jesus, all right.
Like, just directly. So Brown's parents then contacted the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office,
Okay.
where an investigator wrote up an affidavit to request a search warrant for Eric's home, but for some reason it was never submitted to a judge, so nothing ever happened. Okay? This guy's posting about making bombs. And it just, okay, anyway. So not long after this, in late January of 1998, both Harris and Klebold, they were both arrested for breaking into a van to steal tools and computer equipment. So this is just like theft.
Yeah,
Like
it's some escalation.
I don't think it's grand theft. What makes something grand theft?
I think it's the amount of money that's involved.
That's worth?
I don't know, like
Tools
what the
and
limit
computers,
is.
those are expensive.
Yeah, I don't know what the limit is, but I think it's about like money.
Well, in any case, they both pled guilty to felony theft. And because of their age, they were merely made to attend anger management classes. And because of, quote, positive actions in the program, they were just put on probation pretty quickly after that.
Okay.
So they're getting into some trouble, right? After this little snafu, Eric began journaling rather than blog posting. And strangely enough, Dylan did too. So they're both doing like physical journals now. Okay.
Jeez, all right.
There's like the internet's too open, it seems. Eric Harris specifically wrote in his journals his desire to rape and torture, and in some cases eat young freshman girls at his school.
Good fucking
He's
Lord.
expressing cannibalism.
That is
It's fucking
fucked up, man. Not cool.
Yeah. And these writings, some of the writings, not the eating and raping and all that stuff, but some of their writings that were pretty disturbing made their way into the classroom, into some of their schoolwork for their creative writing classes. Yeah,
that figures.
Yeah, it makes sense. They're just like, it's not real, it's creative. So So Harris wrote a poem from the perspective of a bullet. Not weird at all. Klebold wrote a short story about a man going on a killing spree in the school, causing teachers to contact his parents.
Yeah,
but,
red flag.
Yeah, but nothing came of that past a possible grounding.
Oh, just possible.
So I can't believe these two did this. There's no signs at all that anything's wrong.
No, not even a little
Right?
bit.
I
I
know.
wouldn't even assume they were difficult.
I was going to give them a grant to do whatever they want.
Give them a lot of money.
So, all right. So, they have all these like negative feelings. They're expressing them online. They get in trouble slightly for it. So they get more intense with the writings and their own personal thing. They start making this plan. All right, and they want it to be big, a big plan, somewhere along the lines of what we saw on the internet there. So the guns that they used, all right, in the months leading up to the massacre, because they were planning it. They wanted to do this. They were like, we have a lot of stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
Harris and Klebold were acquiring a mini arsenal of guns. All right, they both had a part-time job, or they both had part-time jobs, I guess, at a place called Blackjack Pizza.
Okay.
Just slinging pies. I know how much you like it when people refer to pizza as pie.
I despise it.
Well, they're slinging pies, and a coworker named Philip Duran probably, purchased a 9mm Tech 9 pistol for Dylan Klebold, all right, for $500. In November of 1998, another of the boys' friends, Robin Anderson, purchased a rifle and 2 shotguns for Harris and Klebold. Obviously, the guns were bought by friends and coworkers because the pair were too young to purchase them themselves.
And they had a felony, right?
And they had a felony. Yeah, they were
That definitely
17-year-old
doesn't help.
felons. And they were able to obtain the guns quickly and discreetly because they were all bought at gun shows.
Okay.
All right, so you just walk out with a gun, no problem. All right. Moving on to the explosives, because it seems like the guns were sort of secondary to their whole plan.
Yeah, that was not
As we see
plan
this go
A.
out,
It was not
which
the gun.
I didn't know. I thought they just like straight up went in with guns and like that was their plan. But looking into this, it was like they were planning a full-on like assault.
Yeah, it was sort of military tactician style. It was like we'd blow off these entrances and then they'd like all pool here and we'd have our guns and whoever's left would be like
It's like then
we
we'll
have
pick them
that.
off and like the policemen will have the higher ground. We'll pick them off, like that kind of shit.
Right.
Well, moving on to the explosives. Harris and Klebold spent most of their time leading up to the massacre acquiring guns, videotaping themselves in their basement, explaining their plan, because that is something they started to do. They were making videos in their basement just talking about how much they want to kill and how great it's going to be and that kind of shit.
Okay.
They're just doing it, just doing it up.
I don't condone that behavior, but okay.
So those two things, the guns, the tapes, and making bombs of all sorts of varieties. They had constructed pipe bombs, carbon dioxide cartridges filled with gunpowder, which are also called crickets, Molotov cocktails, and propane tanks converted to be bombs.
All right.
Some
so
of
they
them
were they were fucking prepared for
they
some
were
terrorism.
ready, dude. So they used all sorts of like different detonation sorts of like machinery. They had like one that was rigged to a clock. They had some that were just like model rocket fuses, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they were making bombs. So let's get into the day. All right. All right. On the morning of Tuesday, April 20th, 1999, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold placed 2 duffel bags in the cafeteria. Each contained a propane tank rigged to explode at the beginning of a lunch at 11:15. And I know me and you know what a lunch is, but is that like a thing for all high schools?
I actually
like-
don't know. That's interesting because
Yeah.
we had like the block schedule where it was like divvied up into like A lunch, B lunch, C lunch, and D lunch.
Yeah, and it like depended on what class you were in and which part of the building, like at the time of your lunch, like which one you were assigned. So
Yeah,
like
I
not
don't-
everyone's in lunch at the same time.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's if that was similar to what I'm assuming it probably is.
I mean, we had like like 5,000 kids at our school, so it just makes sense. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
For us, it was like, okay, we're gonna just put 1,200 into lunch instead of 5,000.
there you go, yeah. But so yeah, they had the duffel bag, they had the propane tanks rigged to explode at the beginning of a lunch. All right, so the first one of the day at 11:15. There was a supposed security tape change around the time that these bombs were planted, and so there is no footage of the boys doing so.
Ooh,
Interesting. Weird. Yeah, let's see. So the pair also placed 2 backpacks full of pipe bombs, aerosol canisters, and small propane bombs in a field about 3 miles away from the school. Set them to explode shortly before the plan. Before they planned to go ahead with their plan, and these bombs were set as a diversion.
Okay.
Okay, and you might be thinking like, oh, there's just fucking duffel bags in there, no one's saying anything, in like the cafeteria, Apparently there was just an area where everyone threw their backpacks.
Ah, okay.
So it kind of blended in a little bit.
Back in the trusting days,
Yeah. So Harris and Klebold went to their morning bowling class. Bowling class at the bowling alley. Took place off campus. They returned after changing their clothes, wearing trench coats. All right, and part of the reason for the trench coats was to conceal like their many, many weapons.
Oh yeah, you gotta hide those.
Yeah, each of them were donning. But it was also because there was a clique at the school known as the Trench Coat Mafia.
Okay.
And, so basically they could wear these and no one would really bat an eye because everyone at the school was like, oh, it's just one of those trench coat dudes.
Yeah, like that's that's a group,
Yeah, it's like that's their life. I'll let them live it. All right, so Harris and Klebold, they parked in different parking spots on different sides of the cafeteria outside, right? Both of their cars contained 2 20-pound propane tanks each, along with some pipe bombs. So they're placing car bombs, basically.
Yeah.
All right, and so let's see. Harris actually came across Brooks Brown, the guy from earlier, whose parents called because he was just like, I want to kill this guy.
Yeah, I want to fucking kill him.
So he was getting out of his car, and Brooks Brown was there, like, smoking a cigarette, and he was just, like, talking to him. He was like, yo, you missed that test this morning. Like, where were you? What's going on with that? And Harris responded, that doesn't matter anymore. You know what? I like you, Brooks. I like you now. Get out of here. Go home.
All right.
And Brooks was already planning on skipping his next class, but this comment made him uneasy, so off down the road he went. He left. He successfully got out of there.
Yeah, he's like, okay.
Like, that sounds a little suspicious. But, so Harris was wearing a white t-shirt with Natural Selection written in black, and Klebold wore a white t-shirt with Wrath written in red. So they have their little fun uniforms.
Yeah, they got a thing going,
And a whole like little shtick.
You gotta
and they
fit
both
in.
have the dusters or whatever, like trench coats. They're pretty much dusters. I don't. What's the difference between those things?
I don't know. I always assume that like a traditional trench coat is like black, but a duster can be black. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if it's like a regional thing.
It's like a jacuzzi hot tub situation. I feel like
It probably,
You
yeah.
know?
I don't know. They're the same fucking
friggin'
thing.
knows, man.
They're fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, so they had these fun shirts on. They had their uniforms, the dusters, everything. They used straps and webbing to secure their weapons to their bodies underneath their trench coats. So they each had 9mm, a sawed-off 12-gauge shotgun. They each had a duffel bag full of explosives and ammunition, matchstick strikers taped to their forearms to light the fuses of bombs easily.
Okay.
45 crickets, the explosives between them, pipe bombs, and Molotov cocktails.
Oh, okay.
These are some very concealing jackets.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. The cafeteria bombs that they planted earlier, they didn't go off. And if they had, they would have killed and or severely injured, like 488 students that were in the cafeteria at the time.
Damn.
And they purposefully placed them by support beams, and the library was above it. So, like, in the best case scenario, in their minds, the library would literally crush everyone in the cafeteria.
Well, fuck. All right, I
It's
guess.
fucking crazy. But that bomb didn't go off. Neither of them did. So, all right. Here we go. At 11:19 a.m., students Rachel Scott and Richard Castaldo, yeah, were sitting on the grass outside of the cafeteria having lunch. Klebold was approaching. He threw a pipe bomb towards the two, and it only partially detonated. And it kind of just gave off smoke. It was like a weird smoke bomb, so they thought. Rachel and Richard thought it was like a weird senior prank.
Yeah, they're like,
or something at first. You
what
know?
the fuck?
Yeah. That is until one of the two boys yelled, "Go, go!" And Klebold and Harris then pulled out their firearms and opened fire on the two. Rachel was shot 4 times and died instantly from a shot to the temple.
Damn.
Richard was shot in the arms, chest, and abdomen 8 times. He fell unconscious and was paralyzed from the chest down for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it's like forever, probably.
Yeah. The two then made their way into the school, or more towards the school. And by the two of them, I mean Klebold and Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other two. But anyway, so they made their way closer to the school, coming across Daniel Rarbough, Rohrboughh. That guy. Rarbough. Sean Graves and Lance Kirkland. All right, so these three, they're coming around, just like about to come up the staircase leading down to the cafeteria, because there is like a hill. Like the school is on a hill. So like the perspective is kind of weird, but you're going down.
Yeah, they're going down to go up, or even, I guess.
Something's happening. The staircase. All right. They see these 3 dudes on the staircase. What is that? 3 boys, they saw the guns, right? So these 3 guys, they saw the guns, and they were just like, they're probably paintball guns. They just figured, like, oh, probably paintball.
Good lord.
Harris then shot the 3, killing Rarbough. I feel like I'm mispronouncing his name, and I feel like I'm doing him a disservice. But
we spelled it,
he's,
you know?
He's dead. Rarbough, he's dead. And injured the other 2. By this time, teacher and coach William David Sanders had heard the shots and had begun warning students in the cafeteria. Right?
Okay.
Harris and Klebold then turned to 5 students on the grassy hill outside again, opening fire. Michael Johnson was hit in the face, arm, and leg, but managed to run and escape. Mark Taylor was shot in the chest, arms, and leg, after which he played dead, and so he was not shot anymore.
Okay.
The other 3 students escaped unharmed. They're not even in the school yet.
Jesus.
Harris and Klebold then made their way down the stairway more so, towards the cafeteria, where Klebold came across Kirkland again, the guy that he had just shot.
Yeah.
Severely wounded and calling for help. Klebold said, "Sure, I'll help you," and proceeded to shoot Kirkland in the face with his shotgun.
Good lord.
Fucking brutal, man.
One-liners and everything.
They got a lot of one-liners, some of them better than others. Miraculously, Kirkland ended up surviving. After being shot in the face, after being shot like 3 times. Jesus Christ.
I don't even know how to, like how, Like, good lord.
That's bad, man. Klebold then went into the cafeteria, but he didn't fire his gun off at all. It was speculated that he went in to check on the bombs.
Okay.
But, like, when he got in there, he didn't shoot anybody. He was just, like, meandering, looking for where they were. So Harris hung back, still shooting at students outside from the stairs. And Klebold then returned to Harris, where they continued to shoot. And apparently surrounding witnesses apparently overheard the two saying, like, "This is what we've always wanted to do. Like, this is so awesome," and, like, that kind of shit. Very scary.
Maybe have higher aspirations. You
Yeah.
know? That's my thought right now is, like, aim higher, And not in the sense
Don't
of
tell
killing
them to
more
aim
people.
higher, because they were planning on, like, outdoing the Oklahoma City bombings numbers.
Yeah, I don't mean it in
They
that
literally,
aspect.
they are recorded in saying that Timothy McVeigh, there's like, that guy's a pussy.
Like, dude, let me tell you this. I don't know. Maybe go for like a general manager position somewhere. That should be your goal. You keep it low if you want, but like at least go higher than where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
What are you accomplishing with this?
You're
Nothing.
just killing people.
I don't know.
All right, so they're shooting people again. They're still outside. They're just like, this is amazing. It's so good. So art teacher Patty Nielsen approached the west entrance with student Brian Anderson, thinking that there was just like a harmless little commotion going on outside. Like a lot of people just thought this was a prank.
Yeah,
initially.
they're like, okay, what's going on here?
Like until they saw what was actually happening. So she was planning on just like putting a stop to it. Just like, hey, cut it out. But as the two went through the first set of doors to go outside, Harris and Klebold shot out the windows, injuring both Anderson and Nielsen with glass and shrapnel.
Good. Ugh.
All right, so the two then ran back down the hall from whence they came, going into the library to warn everyone and to call 911.
Okay. All right. Smart.
Yeah, finally someone's calling the police. Here it is. At 11:22 a.m., a custodian called Deputy Neil Gardner, who was eating his lunch in his car. And that was one thing, because that was like a police officer like who was always at the school. Like that was his job.
Yeah, he was like security,
And usually he would eat lunch with the kids in the cafeteria, but for some reason today he was out in his car.
Probably having a cigarette.
Probably having a cigarette. He was watching the students in the smoking pit just smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, there you go.
Because that was another thing that they had back then. All right. So yeah, custodian called him, Neil Gardner. He was eating in his car, saying that there was a girl who was down and that there was an active shooter. All right?
And he probably was like, oh,
he's just
fuck.
fucking halfway through a ham sandwich. What else? So as Gardner got out of his car, Harris fired off 10 shots at him from 60 yards away.
Damn.
All right, just immediately. And Gardner was not hit and returned fire with 4 shots from his sidearm while Harris was reloading his rifle. Harris at this point had shot off 47 shots, and Klebold had fired 5.
Damn, all right.
They're not even inside yet.
No.
All right. Harris and Klebold then entered the school. They're inside now. Through the west entrance, shot out the windows of the east entrance, and then went up and down the halls, shooting at anyone they came across, and throwing pipe bombs.
Yeah, that's the detail that's often overlooked. Is had those bombs been much more successful than they were, the devastation would be crazy.
Been massive. It would have been incredibly bad. But yeah, thankfully they're just kids who are bad at making bombs. Let's see. All right, yeah, so they went in through the west entrance. They were shot out the windows of the east entrance. They were going up and down the halls. They were throwing pipe bombs, shooting people. The two then made their way down to the library hallway.
Okay.
Right? And the library is where the most shit happens.
Yeah, this is where chaos reigns.
Okay. At 11:29, Harris and Klebold entered the library where 52 students, 2 teachers, and 2 librarians were. 56 people were in this library. Harris shot through the front desk with his shotgun twice, injuring a few people, especially with wooden shrapnel getting into their eyes. Klebold then walked up to disabled student Kyle Velasquez and shot him in the back and head with his shotgun, instantly killing him.
Ugh.
Just immediately killing the disabled kid. They then told everyone to get up and that the library was going to explode. All right, so then they ordered the jocks specifically to stand up, saying, anyone with a white hat or sports emblem is dead. Because apparently they were going after the quote-unquote jocks.
All right.
And white hats were like a tradition there. Like anyone a part of the sports at all at Columbine High School, they had those. It's like, I'm a sports guy. You know?
They were kind of jocks too, though. They were on the bowling team or in the bowling class.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You might not think it, but that's a sport,
That's a sport.
Counts.
Yeah.
You're jocks, guys. I'm sorry. You're jocks.
Well, if that's true, then they made good on their claim that all the jocks were dead.
Valid point.
So, yeah, no one stood up when they said this, right? Rightfully so.
Yeah, who the fuck would?
Yeah, I mean, and many of the students were just trying to hide their hats. But by this point, the police had arrived, and the windows of the library were shot out in the direction from where the police were. Okay, so the police returned fire. So the windows were shot out by Harris and Klebold.
Yeah.
And the police returned fire, causing Harris and Klebold to simply avoid the windows. And it seems like that worked. Klebold then took off his trench coat and fired his shotgun at 3 students sitting at a table, injuring them all. All right. Harris then went over to a computer desk, got down on one knee, and mortally shot 14-year-old Stephen Kernow in the neck.
Ugh.
He then shot 17-year-old Casey Rugziger through the shoulder and severing a major artery. She then gasped in pain, and Harris said, "Quit your bitchin'."
Funny.
Yeah.
This guy really thinks
One-liners.
he's fucking great, doesn't he?
Quit your bitchin'. He then went over to a desk where Cassie Bernal was hiding. He slapped the top of the desk, knelt down, said peekaboo, and shot her in the head with a shotgun.
Damn.
He then left. He let off his shot with one hand. This one, the peekaboo shot that I just talked about.
That's fucking crazy in and of itself.
Right? But it was a bit of. It's not equal, but it is funny that he did this with one hand, so the recoil of the 12-gauge shotgun kicked back and broke his nose.
Good.
So it's not an equal punishment, but there's a bit of karma there, I
Yeah, at
suppose.
least there's a little something going on, a little something happened.
Yeah. So there you go. He broke his nose with a shotgun, shooting a woman in the face. A girl in the face, actually. So with a bloody nose, he then asked Bree Pasquale, I think, if she wanted to die. She then pled for her life, and Klebold said, "Shoot her!" And Harris responded, "No, we're going to blow up the school anyway." So if you haven't noticed by now, like, they kind of, it's like indiscriminate, like who they're killing. They just decide in the literal moment that they're seeing these people if they're going to let them live or not.
Yeah,
but they're terrorizing everybody.
There's no plan. Like, they might have said they have a plan, but at least as far as what we can witness just from here, it's straight up just like, well, yeah, this guy's fine. I don't care, whatever. But that guy,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's kind of like a, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, you know?
Yeah, but with bullets.
Yeah, it's all over the fucking place.
It's not good. So it's nearing the end of my notes, but like towards the end of this actual occurrence, it was just tragedy after tragedy, just like I've been going through, just like senseless. Like they just walk up to somebody, have a little exchange, and then shoot them.
Yeah.
Basically. But so we're coming to an end here on my end. But the two after that, after they said they were going to blow up the school anyway, they let her live. They're still in the library. They then came across 3 black students, and the two taunted them, made disgusting racial comments before murdering 2 of them. Isaiah Scholes, who was shot in the chest, and Matthew Ketcher. And even though neither of them were shot in the head, I believe it was Harris that said, "I didn't know black brains could go that far."
So you don't even have like an appropriate one-liner for like what you did.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like I said, some of them hit and some of them don't.
Like that one doesn't even make sense in the situation, dude.
He just really wanted to be racist in that moment, and that was all he could think of.
Yeah, he felt like that was
Because
like the
he's
power
stupid.
move, you know?
Yeah. So here we go. Harris then said, "Who's ready to die next?" All right, which I hope no one answered.
Yeah, like some guys in the back, like I'll do it.
It's me.
Like fucking Mole Man.
It's
or
like
something.
you're not. This isn't going to stop what we're doing. You're just also going to die. Harris and Klebold then continued approaching students in the library, deciding whether or not they would shoot or spare them completely randomly. It was completely random. It was all just. It was terror. It was a terrorist act.
Right.
After leaving the library, the gunmen made their way to the cafeteria, and once there, security cameras showed them attempting to detonate the failed bombs in the cafeteria in the duffel bags. First by shooting at them, basically, which didn't work, and then throwing a Molotov cocktail at them.
Oh, yeah, that'll get a
And
bomb going. And
there
just
you go.
Fire.
And the Molotov caught fire and was quickly put out by the sprinkler system.
Didn't plan that one through.
Yeah, they had a shit ton of bombs. I think they had constructed at least 99 bombs.
Which is fucking...
That's
like, how
so
long
many.
does that take? You know,
That's
like,
what
I
I'm
don't
saying,
even
dude. They
know.
were planning this for months. Like, months leading up to it. That's all they were doing, making videos, getting guns, and making bombs.
Good Lord.
So, yeah, the bombs didn't go off. It was then at 12:08 that Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold ended up taking their own lives in the library. All right, so after making their way back to the library, Harris sat himself against a bookshelf and shot himself in the roof of the mouth with a shotgun. Klebold then went down on his knees and shot himself in the temple using his Tech 9 pistol.
All right.
So yeah, there's a bunch of that doesn't even like. I don't know. It's hard for me to form thoughts after going through all that. Right
Yeah,
now.
it's a rough one, more so because
The whole thing took like 45 minutes, and police extended it into like 3 hours.
Yeah,
because they didn't know what to do. There was no one in charge outside.
Right. And
Like-
the thing with this one, like what I want to bring up, this was at a time where I know now it seems so foreign, but this was at a time when the idea of the active shooter drill in schools was like not something that was probably ever done. It might be something that was like buried deep in the school plans just to have in case,
Yeah.
but it's not something that was regularly scheduled and like practiced or even reviewed probably by local authorities, I would imagine.
Definitely not. Like there were some teachers, like as it was happening, that they did direct everyone just like get under your desks. So
Yeah.
that kind of gives me the inkling that maybe there was something in place of that nature, but like it was never taken seriously, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. Like
Yeah.
you were saying,
Yeah, and this was, we're talking, this was in the 90s. This was not something that happened. It wasn't something that people regularly thought like, hey, this is a serious danger that can occur. It just sort of, it was at that time in history when it really was the perfect storm for this to happen.
Yeah. I think, okay, so I'm having an idea right now. I'm thinking there are some things that I want to clarify with what I just said, everything, like a little more background and that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And there is a lot that comes after it, so I think we should break this into two, probably.
No, absolutely. 'Cause what I'm just thinking now is get into the weirdness as well as talk about the after effects. Like what came after and what this led to in as far as America goes.
Yeah, yeah. First, I would like to list off the names of fatalities, if I may.
Yeah, absolutely. We did them, but
We didn't do all of them.
List,
there was some that I just I couldn't keep writing about it, so I just kind of glossed over some of them.
Okay.
So there was Rachel Scott, Daniel Rohrbaugh, William David Sanders, Kyle Velasquez, Stephen Curnow, Casey Bernal, Isaiah Scholes, Matthew Ketcher, Lauren Townsend, John Tomlin, Kelly Fleming, Daniel Mouser, I believe, Corey DePooter, and then Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, but they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I wouldn't really put them in like the in memoriam section. They're more of like the fuck those guys.
No, it's true. But yeah, and I don't know, man. There's just a lot of shit. One thing I did not include in the notes, Eric Harris was a big fan of the Nazis there. He loved Germany.
Yeah.
He loved Hitler, and he loved Freud, I guess. So, weird. Also, apparently, Dylan Klebold, he was part Jewish, and I don't know if
that ever came up.
Yeah, and like how the bodies of the two were found. Some people kind of speculate that Harris killed Klebold and then himself, and some people are just like, oh, it's because he was Jewish. But it's like there's no, there's nothing substantial to substantiate that.
Yeah, we don't
know what
have
I
any
mean?
actual proof of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot different than Vegas. I know that they're sort of
Very
part of
different.
this series, but the difference, I mean, as you can tell, the main difference here is we have definitive proof that this was just two individuals that were like, all right, well, let's fucking go, you know?
Yeah, and it was mainly Eric Harris because he was pretty much controlling
He was
Dylan
a
Klebold.
dick. I mean,
He was
he was the bully.
he
You
was
know?
a textbook psychopath, dude. Like he had no emotion, no feel. Like he just had one thing he wanted to do. He wanted to hurt people, and he even got bored as it was happening.
Yeah.
Like he's just like shooting into the ceiling and like whooping around. He's like, what else are we gonna do? There's no bombs. Like, let's go do something else. Like it's weird.
Yeah, and the one narrative thing that I will we'll talk about now, I guess, um, the thing that was talked about after the fact was this raised. I mean, in no defense of them, I'm not saying that this is an excuse, but a lot of conversations began about bullying in schools and what it can lead to, and like were these outcasts just really picked on, like to the point where they had no other option, and this was their cry for help. But what I think is often forgotten or just ignored for the sake of story, they may have been bullied. I'm not saying that they weren't.
No, they were the bullies.
Yeah, but that's the point that I'm making here, is that they were in fact bullies themselves.
Yeah.
Especially Eric.
Yeah, he was literally like one of the most popular, well-liked people in the school.
Yeah.
And he just had like a fucked up sense of humor, everyone thought, but no, he was like planning on doing this shit.
Yeah,
he was
so
psychopath, man. He was lying, he was good at it. He was controlling everybody. He tried to recruit another guy in the what is it?
the scheme, I guess you'd
In the
call it.
yeah, but it was in the not Duster, but Trench Coat Mafia. In the Trench Coat Mafia, he was during bowling class. He was like, "Hey, what if we killed all the jocks?" And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, that would be crazy."
He's
But
like,
he didn't.
"Oh, okay,
but he didn't
dude."
like show interest, and he wasn't like following up. So Eric was just like, "All right, I won't push on this one."
He didn't respond
You know what I
to
mean?
the fan mail.
He was
you
literally
know?
trying to recruit people, and Dylan was his guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one thing I needed to clarify in part one.
Yeah, the media totally fucked up.
Because I get where
Everything
they were
about
coming
this.
from. Like it raises those questions. But in this particular instance, that is not the case at all.
Yeah.
It was really just a case of mental illness. I mean, is really the best way to put that. Like
Yeah.
severe mental illness.
We had a psychopath and a severely depressed young man.
Yeah.
And neither of them, like, were properly medicated.
No. In
Like
no way,
they
shape, or
were,
form.
I believe both of them were taking a specific type of antidepressant, which I don't have the name of, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's something that'll come
But
up in part
that-
two. 'Cause
yeah.
I was reading about that.
That was another thing. It's like people started questioning that and giving it to children, and it was, yeah. There's too much to cover in the media coverage for this episode.
Yeah, and it's and I'm not a big fan of the media, obviously, but I'm not blaming them for botching the story.
I kind of am.
The only excuse that I'm giving for them is the fact that at this time this was so new, it was almost unreal.
Yeah, I have a feeling it was very surreal because, like I said, this wasn't the first ever school shooting. Like,
No.
spring was literally in the news cycle considered shooting season, but the sheer mass of this, it fucking broke the wheels.
Yeah, no. You're definitely onto something there.
Oh yeah,
It changed everything. I mean, just even policy as far as handbook rules that go into schools today are forever altered because of Columbine.
yeah. And it's weird that nothing was done previous because there were signs. I mean, they were stealing. They had that blog post thing, and then what else? They had the journals. At Blackjack Pizza, Eric Harris actually brought a pipe bomb to work and was like showing it to his coworkers, and they were all like freaking out, like, "Get away from," like that kind of shit.
Yeah, I would too.
He
It'd be
brought
like,
a pipe
"Whoa."
bomb to work.
He'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing with that thing, dude?"
It's fucking insane.
But and don't get it twisted. With the part two, we're not going to be talking like false flag or anything like that because this one, it's not the case.
This one's pretty straightforward. It's like what happened with the media. It's like you see how it happens. It is like a fucking catastrophe how it goes down in the media, but it makes sense, I guess. I don't know, man.
In the weirdest way to
they're
have
literally
something make sense, it makes sense.
Yeah, they're interviewing like kids in the parking lot with blood on their clothes.
Right.
Like it's not. You're not gonna get a reliable.
They
thing.
watched, their friends get shot or straight up killed, and it's like, realistically, kind of like I said earlier, had the pipe bombs worked in the fashion that they had expected them to, we could be looking at true devastation. Like I'm talking hundreds of casualties, like insane amounts, like the biggest mass shooting event in the history of America.
Dude, like I said, like they were planning on crushing the cafeteria with the library.
Yeah, that's a statement that you don't often hear or register.
They were just like, all right, everything's in place. Also, we have all these other bombs. Like, what? And the car bombs, are you shitting me?
Yeah, it's certainly fucking insane, to say the very least.
I guess their plan at the beginning was to set off the bombs in the cafeteria, have the library like fall down, the police would show up, and then after they showed up, their car bombs would go off, and in the chaos, they would just be picking people up from the top of the stairs.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was what they planned on doing, and then what happened is just them freewheeling it.
No, yeah, they sort of just kind of improv that shit and see where it goes. But there's a lot of weird little details that kind of add some mystery to the story.
Yeah, like the cop in his car when every day he would eat lunch in the cafeteria, and then apparently right before they planted the bombs in the cafeteria, the custodian just so happened to be changing the security tape at that exact moment.
Yeah. It's very strange, to say the least. I know a lot of people will just go ahead and say that it was... For them, it was lucky coincidence for what they were going for. But I don't know. There's weird things, and then I know that they're what I was actually reading about, which I'll go into just a little bit here. There's actually at a point in time there was discussion of a lawsuit against the pharmaceutical company for the drug that they were on, which I'm not certain of the name. That'll. I'll bring that up again next week in that episode.
Oh, man, that's like fucking Michael Moore taking that kid with the bullets in his spine to Kmart to return the bullets.
Well, it is, but believe it or not, the guy that was the leader in that was the individual that wrote the Franklin cover-up.
Really?
Yeah, he had a hand in Columbine and different things after the fact.
Interesting.
So
that guy had a hell of a career.
Yeah, so there's some details that go around it that are you can't even call them conspiracies. They're more so just open-ended questions that we don't know the answers to. But what we do know is that Columbine was sort of the perfect storm when it comes to an event like this.
Yeah, it all just synced up, and there you have it, Columbine. You know, it's just fucked up.
Everything really, really, really played out how they wanted, and it just went off. I know personally for us, the Rachel, the victim in outside of the school,
Rachel Scott, the first victim.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, her dad actually does talk circuits.
Really?
Because I believe he came to our school when we were younger and gave a talk.
Are you fucking me?
No,
when was that? What was that? Elementary, middle school?
It was in middle school where we went to the gym and he came and he talked, and it was I think it was called Flowers for Rachel or something like that.
Oh my god!
Mitch, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And he came and kind of gave his side as the victim's family, the surviving family,
And as Mitch just said, he expressed a deep want for suicide.
Yeah, it was very depressing. I remember that specifically.
I don't remember this.
But he, I don't, I'm going to look into that as well, but I'm almost certain that was the individual that I'm talking about. Mostly because I remember that name Rachel. Like the last name doesn't sound familiar to
just
me,
Scott. Yeah.
but the Rachel really does. And I'm sure a lot of the family of these victims did similar things because it was fucking insane.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good place to end.
That
It's
was
a heavy topic.
That was quite a lot. And again, we're pointing out weird things about this. We're not dismissing anything that happened. It was truly a fucking crazy tragedy.
Yeah, this is not Vegas. Don't
It
worry.
is
This
not,
is not.
Well, that was also a tragedy, but
Well, yeah,
but
you know
that
what I
one's
mean.
just obviously a false flag. This one is just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, this one's it's just weird is the best way to put it. It's just fucking weird. But in the meantime, try to be happy in the next
Try to be
week.
good to yourself. Don't do what they did.
No, don't do that.
Never do that.
There's definitely better things to do. Like I said, maybe shoot for like a general manager position. That like
Well,
you
don't
can go,
shoot for one.
Well,
but
fair
you
point.
You know what I mean.
You can even go. I mean, I don't. You can go lower than that. Like I'm not diminishing any career path. Okay.
No, everything's good.
I'm just saying. Like even if that's too much like responsibility or work for you, you could go lower than that and still not do what they did.
Yeah.
There's
It's real easy to not kill people.
There's no
And I would
shame
recommend doing
in
that.
any job on this planet that is like a job, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It got to be done. They're there for a reason. Like that's okay. You could still contribute and be a good member of society and do your thing. Don't fucking go kill people. Like it's that simple.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
I like how you're making it sound like they didn't want to have jobs, so that's why they did this.
They probably didn't.
They worked at Blackjack Pizza.
Yeah,
He brought pipe bombs there.
They saw that they didn't like it, and they were like, "We're gonna do something else now." And I don't like that. I don't like that about them.
Maybe they didn't like people referring to them as pies either.
Yeah, no, they probably didn't. I'll tell you that. I'm not a fan of that in the slightest. But
No.
I definitely get why people say it, but it doesn't mean I like it.
Pizza pie.
But with that being said, that's effectively our episode.
I
for
think
the week.
it is, yeah. And just like we were saying, go do something good. I think right after this, we're going to do the Patreon episode that we didn't get to do yesterday because Navi's mom was not here, and he was very whipped up.
Yeah, he was whipped up, and it was just better than putting him in a room or something.
It's true. So, patrons, sorry about that, but we're going to record one right now and post it up there. So, if you're listening to this immediately as it comes out, just go right over to Patreon afterward.
Yeah, you'll see it. We'll be there. It's not even a problem.
We'll be there. It's going to be good.
But we'll be back next week with part 2 for Columbine, where we'll be a little bit more on the lighter side,
Sort of. Yeah, we'll more discuss it and not go through it.
Yeah, it won't be as, day ruining as just hearing about people dying for no reason.
Yeah, what I just did to you, I don't plan on doing that next week.
No. You'll get a week off. It'll be heavy, but it won't be that heavy,
It'll be an episode, just like we always have every week. Because you know what? We are starting a cult, and you're Grant, and I'm Jake, and Mitch was here, and Navi left a while ago. I think he got bored or depressed, maybe.
Yeah, he didn't want to hang out with us.
Yeah, so we are starting a cult. You can follow us on all the shit. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a email. It's called startacult@gmail.com. And we have YouTube. Go like and subscribe there. Give us positive reviews on everything where you fucking listen to it. Please.
Yeah.
Also,
lay it down for us.
Yeah, Patreon. Link below. As always. It's great. That's it. Columbine. That's it.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.